Listen closely, family. Right now, you might be wrestling with sleepless nights, bills that feel like mountains, or a heart heavy with loneliness. Maybe you're wondering if God sees you, if He hears the cries you've kept silent. But let me tell you something, God's calling you to a sacred pause. Sometimes the most powerful move you can make in life is not making a move at all. It's about stepping back, getting quiet, and listening for His whisper. Because silence, true silence, is not a sign of weakness. It's strength under control, pain transformed into wisdom, and discipline wrapped in patience. Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 5 states, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart." God's got a purpose for you, a divine plan that starts when you stop chasing the noise and start seeking His peace. What's your name, family? Where are you right now? Are you ready to hear His voice in the stillness? There comes a time when God calls you to stop running after people, to stop pouring your heart into those who are determined to misunderstand you. You begin to focus on yourself, not in a selfish way, but on the peace God's promised, the growth He's ordained, the calling He's placed in your soul. You realize not every battle is worth fighting, not every insult deserves your energy, and not every person is meant to walk where God's leading you. That's when the shift begins, a holy shift toward His purpose. Hearing God's whisper in stillness. Have you ever found yourself in a room full of chaos, voices clashing, opinions swirling, drama rising, and felt a tug in your spirit saying, "Be still"? That's not weakness. That's God's Spirit speaking through your soul. Psalm 46 verse 10 reveals, "Be still and know that I am God." Let the world talk. Let them speculate. Let them assume. Because silence, real intentional silence, is a strength most will never grasp. In a world that screams for you to react, to post, to clap back, to defend your story, silence is a rare and powerful discipline. People will call you distant. They'll label you cold. They'll say you've changed. And they're right. You have changed. You've grown. You've learned that peace isn't found in winning arguments, but in knowing who you are in God's eyes without needing to shout it. That's maturity. That's power. That's freedom. The power of intentional silence. There's something uniquely holy about the person who chooses not to respond, who trusts God enough to let go of justifying every step, defending every move, or explaining every choice. You start to see that not everyone is worthy of your energy. Some people are just noise in the story God's writing for your life, and you don't have to entertain them. Holding your peace while someone tries to provoke you, that's God's strength in you. Choosing to walk away from drama, that's growth in His grace. Silence isn't avoidance, it's intention. It's the sacred choice to value peace over pride, to prioritize God's purpose over ego. And don't let anyone mistake that for weakness. Finding clarity in God's quiet. A person who can stay silent while being judged, tested, or doubted has mastered self-control through God's Spirit. And self-control is the cornerstone of a soul anchored in faith. Silence brings clarity. When you stop speaking so much, you hear more, especially from God. The world is loud. People are loud, but truth, God's truth, is quiet. It doesn't shout. It waits patiently for silence to unveil it. That's why those who crave noise rarely find peace. Because peace lives in the quiet spaces, in the stillness where you stop chasing and start listening. When you embrace silence, you see what truly matters. You notice who genuinely cares. You recognize what deserves your time. And most importantly, you discover who you are when no one's watching. That version of you, the one that doesn't need applause, that doesn't wait for permission, that's the real you, crafted by God's hands. What's weighing on your heart today, family? What's God whispering to your soul? When you find that version of yourself, you build from confidence, not insecurity. You no longer need to shout to be heard. You don't have to scream to be seen. Let your silence speak for you. Let your calm be your response, because those who are strong in faith never need to prove it. They show it in how they walk, how they breathe, how they move through storms without complaining about the rain. Building a legacy through silence. Weak people talk about what they'll do. Strong people, guided by God, just do it quietly, consistently, powerfully. And when it's done, the world notices, not because you told them, but because you showed them through your life. That's real strength. That's the legacy silence builds, not a performance, but a foundation rooted in God's truth. There's a reason they say still waters run deep. The deeper your soul, the less noise it makes. You won't find a storm raging in a shallow puddle, but when the ocean is calm, that's when it's most powerful. That's the silence you want to cultivate, the kind that's grounded, unshaken, unmoved by the world's chaos. People will try to provoke you just to see you react. They'll test your patience to see if you'll break your character. But when you stay silent, when you hold on to peace with a heart steadied by God, you earn the highest respect, not just from others, but from yourself. You begin to understand that not everything deserves your reaction, not everything deserves your presence. Silence unsettles people because it forces them to face their own noise. When you stop engaging in arguments, when you no longer react to every insult, when you stay quiet in spaces where you once fought for validation, it sends a message that says, I've outgrown this, and I'm walking in God's purpose. And real growth is silent. You'll never hear a tree grow, but one day its roots are so deep and its branches so strong that no storm can shake it. That's what silence does. It deepens your roots in faith. It strengthens your foundation in God's love. It prepares you for storms you don't even see coming, and when those storms hit, maybe a betrayal, a financial struggle, or a dream that didn't shine, you won't need to raise your voice. You'll stand firm, unmoved, trusting God's plan. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1 affirms, to everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven. What's your storm right now, family? What's God preparing you for in this quiet season? And don't think for a moment that people don't notice. They see your silence. They feel it. They talk about it. Some are confused by it. Others feel threatened by it. But the right ones, the ones with depth and wisdom, they respect it. Because silence makes people turn inward. It holds a mirror to their noise and chaos. And when they realize they can't drag you into their mess, when your peace stays unshaken, they see you're different. You're building something, real stability, discipline, and purpose for God's glory. Those things can't be bought or faked. They're earned in quiet moments, in the sacred stillness where you choose God over the world. We've been taught that strength must be loud. That power needs to be shouted to be real. But silence is the language of the strong. It belongs to those who've been broken and still stand, not because they have nothing to say, but because they know through God's wisdom that saying it isn't always worth it. They've learned the value of letting go, of walking away without bitterness, of choosing peace over pride. And in that choice, they found something rare and unshakable: freedom. Silence teaches patience. And patience is a weapon in a world that races and pushes and pulls. You become the one who waits, who watches, who listens, who moves when God says it's time, not when emotions demand it. And when you move like that, you become powerful in the quietest, most intentional way. You're no longer reacting, you're responding. You're not emotional, you're deliberate. And when you speak, every word carries weight. People lean in not because you're loud, but because they know your words are backed by God's presence and purpose. That's what silence gives you. It makes your presence undeniable even when you say nothing at all. So don't let the world convince you that silence is surrender. It isn't. It's rising. It's learning to build in private, to protect what matters without shouting, to lead without needing a spotlight. It's stopping the cycle of explaining yourself to those who never valued your heart. It's discovering something sacred, the strongest version of yourself, the one who doesn't need to be seen to make an impact, the one who doesn't need to shout to change your room. Because your silence, when rooted in God, speaks louder than noise ever could, choosing peace over chaos. There comes a moment when God calls you to choose peace over noise, not because you've stopped caring, but because you care more than ever. You care about your mind, your heart, your spirit. You realize you can't afford to let anything disturb the peace God's given you. Because peace isn't just a feeling, it's survival. It's healing. It's the force that holds you together when life tries to tear you apart. And once you taste that peace, you'll never beg chaos to understand you. Peace doesn't mean your life is perfect. It means you no longer waste energy on what drains you. It means you walk away from what dishonors your soul, even if it's familiar. It means you release people who only show up to take, to drain, to disappoint. What's holding you back from that peace today, family? Who or what is God asking you to let go of? When peace becomes your priority, subtraction becomes sacred. You stop over-explaining. You stop chasing closure. You stop answering calls that bring confusion. Because your peace is holy now. And when you treat it as something sacred, life shifts not just around you, but within you. You wake up with clarity. You move with intention. You stop seeking validation from those who never saw your worth, even when you stood before them. You stop proving yourself in rooms you've outgrown. And when peace is your standard, you become unshakable. You measure success by your stillness, not the noise around you. That's when you step into your power, not the power that crushes others, but the kind that grounds you and holds you steady in every storm. Trusting God's promise in Isaiah chapter 30, verse 21, which confirms, "Your ears shall hear a word behind you saying, 'This is the way, walk in it.'" People won't always understand this version of you. They'll say you've changed, that you're distant. But they don't know what it cost you to find this peace, the tears, the breaking points, the nights you barely held on. They didn't witness the healing you fought for in silence. So no, you're not cold. You're careful. You're guarding your soul because you've learned not everyone deserves access to it. Some only loved you when you were broken because it made you easier to control, but not anymore. Not now. Now peace sits at the center of your life, and peace requires boundaries. Guarding your sacred peace. You'll lose people when you protect your peace, but let them go. If your peace offends them, they weren't meant to stay. Real love doesn't come with chaos. Real friends don't leave you drained. And if someone's upset because you chose your well-being over their comfort, that's not your burden. It's a sign they never respected you. Your peace isn't a negotiation, a team decision, or a shared project. It's yours, a gift from God. And if someone disrupts it, they've shown you everything you need to know. Protecting your peace means saying no. It means being misunderstood. It means walking away, even when your heart aches, and doing it anyway. There's no greater act of self-love than guarding your peace like your life depends on it. Because it does. The stress, the anxiety, the emotional exhaustion you've normalized, that's not life. That's the absence of peace. And you have every right to step away from anything that robs you of joy, balance, or hope. You weren't created to live in defense or survival. You deserve mornings that begin with ease, not dread, days that move with focus, not drama, nights that end with gratitude, not spiraling thoughts. That's the life peace builds. And it begins the moment you decide it matters more than anything else. Answering God's call to rest in Him. You don't have to wait for a breakdown to protect your peace. Don't wait until your body's too tired to move, your heart's numb, or your mind's drowning in noise. Start now before burnout becomes your default. Because peace isn't something you find, it's something you create through boundaries, choices, silence, and walking away from what doesn't serve God's purpose for you. It's not easy, but it's worth it. And once you choose peace, you'll wonder why you ever lived any other way. The people you thought you needed, those you fought to keep, won't matter when your soul finally exhales. You were never meant to carry what isn't yours, to fix everyone's problems at the cost of your spirit, or to be an emotional dumping ground for those who never ask how you are. Let that sink in. Protecting your energy isn't selfish, it's necessary. When you're drained, you have nothing left to give. When your spirit's unsettled, you can't hear God's purpose. When you're consumed by others' chaos, you forget the sound of your own peace. Reclaim it. Reconnect with it. Make peace your foundation again, as God invites you to do. What's one step you can take today, family, to guard the peace God's offering you? You can't control everything around you, but you can control what you allow into your life. Peace isn't a coincidence. It's a daily decision. Every time you're tempted to return to what broke you, remind yourself, my peace is my priority. Every time someone pulls you toward chaos, remember what matters most. And every time you feel guilty for choosing solitude, setting boundaries, or creating space, take a breath and repeat, my peace is my priority. Because without peace, success feels hollow, love becomes heavy, life feels like survival. But with peace, everything blooms. Your heart heals. Your purpose rises. That's the life God created you for, not chaos, not drama, but deep, unshakable, sacred peace. Protecting access to your soul. And then one day you realize something powerful. Not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone has earned the right to hold your heart, know your dreams, or witness your fears. You spent too much time giving your sacred self to those who offered only fragments in return, letting too many stand close who never should have been near. But now you understand your presence is a gift, your energy is sacred, your time is valuable. And from this moment, you won't apologize for protecting them. People may claim they know you, but they only know the version you allowed. They were visitors in your story, not its authors. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to your emotions, energy, healing, or kindness. Some only show up to drain you, to distract you, to feed off your light because they haven't built their own. But you're not a rehabilitation center for those who refuse to grow. You're not a sanctuary for those who burn down your peace. You're done shrinking to fit spaces that never saw your worth. You don't need to keep explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. You don't need to open doors for people who only create mess. Some will mistake your kindness for weakness, your silence for agreement. But they don't understand you're silent not because you have nothing to say, but because they no longer deserve your voice. And not everyone gets a seat at your table. Not everyone belongs next to royalty. You're not cold or cruel, you're selective. And there's nothing wrong with that. Through pain and disappointment, you've learned access to you is a privilege, not a right. Those who genuinely care won't need to prove their place, nor will they make you question it. And those who keep wounding you don't deserve another chance to harm. Let them go. Not everyone can carry the weight of who God created you to be. It's not your job to shrink to fit their limited understanding. You're not a convenience, not a supporting character in someone else's chaos, not here to fix problems that aren't yours. The moment you protect your access, you protect your peace, purpose, and destiny. That's when clarity comes. You see who's in your life because they value you and who's there because they need something. That awareness is your power. That's when you level up. Boundaries aren't about shutting people out, they're about filtering what's real from what's not, separating the genuine from the opportunistic, the loyal from those who only take. You don't owe your vulnerability to everyone. You don't have to share your story with those who haven't earned your trust. Some only get close to twist your truth, to use your softness as a strategy, to define your strength on their terms. But this isn't about bitterness, it's about wisdom, strength, and grounding in who God says you are. You're allowed to say, no, you don't get that part of me anymore. And when you do, sit with yourself and ask, why am I letting those who've done nothing for me take up space in my life? That's when it hits. It was never about how long they've known you, it's about how they treated you. Loyalty isn't measured by time, but by presence, consistency, and how someone shows up when it matters. Some have been around for years, yet never supported you. Others came unexpectedly, loved you purely, respected your boundaries naturally. Those earn access, those get the key to your world. You've been too available, too understanding, too forgiving, but now move differently. Your love is rare. Your presence is healing. Your spirit is powerful. You can't keep handing that to those who mishandle it, then wonder why you feel empty. You're not obligated to answer every call, respond to every message, or show up to every invitation. You have the right to disappear, rest, create space not out of rudeness but out of self-preservation. Once you experience the peace of protecting your access, you'll never let just anyone back in. Watch how your life shifts when you stop being everything for everyone. Watch your energy change when you stop pouring into those who can't hold what you give. You'll gain clarity, strength, and purpose. And the right people, those who truly care, will respect your boundaries, honor your space, and love you in your silence, supporting your growth without guilt-tripping you. They understand. They see your value. They deserve to be there. From now on, you owe no one a backstage pass to your soul just because they clapped for you once. Some belong in the balcony, not through the door of your heart. Don't give VIP access to those who treat you like general admission. Be kind, compassionate, but selective. Not everyone deserves access to you. That's not arrogance, it's self-respect, discernment, power. And now that you know better, move better. Answering God's call to guard the sacred gift of you. Transformation in God's silence. Sometimes life strips everything away so you can see what truly matters. The phone stops ringing. The crowd quiets. The noise fades. And all that's left is you in the silence. That's where growth begins, not when everyone's cheering, not when life's easy, but when you're alone with your truth. With God's truth. When distractions are gone, when there's no applause, no performance, no audience, just you. Your pain, your story, and the choices you make. That silence isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's where God molds you for His purpose. What's God shaping in you right now, family? What truth is He revealing in your quiet moments? Because in the crowd, it's easy to pretend, to blend in, to wear masks, to play the part. But alone, the masks fall. The performance ends. The real you rises, the version you've avoided, the one carrying God's truth. It's uncomfortable. It's vulnerable. But it's necessary. Real growth never feels like growth in the moment. It feels like pain, confusion, loneliness, but beneath it something sacred is happening. A seed is watered. A foundation is laid. Strength is built. Transformation is taking place. In silence, you don't find strength in noise, but in quiet, hidden battles no one sees. You find it when you're crying at 2 a.m., but still rise to face the day. You find it when your phone's silent, yet you speak life into yourself. You find it when no one checks in, but you show up anyway. That's real growth. That's maturity. That's becoming who God called you to be. Just like the caterpillar, transformation doesn't happen before an audience. It happens alone, in the dark, wrapped in silence and stillness. And when it emerges, it's unrecognizable. That's what isolation does. It transforms you in private so you can reintroduce yourself in God's power. In isolation, you learn things about yourself you never noticed. You uncover triggers, realize unhealed wounds, confront unset boundaries, face your habits, patterns, choices. Through that, you find clarity. You discover who you've been, who you are, who God's calling you to become. Some environments you called comfort were cages. Some people you called support were distractions. Sitting with that truth may sting, but it sets you free. Isolation isn't destroying you, it's breaking down the version of you that wasn't meant to last. It's removing false beliefs you used to survive. It's shaking loose crutches you leaned on too long. It's exposing neglected areas of your life. Yes, it may feel like everything's falling apart, but what's really happening is everything false is being stripped away so the real you can rise. Isolation doesn't just reveal truth, it births transformation. Those late nights, silent tears, moments when you thought no one saw you, that's the cost of elevation. People may not understand your silence, asking where you've gone, why you've changed. You won't always have words to explain because what happened in isolation was for you. It was sacred, personal, divine. While they chased noise, you were molded in stillness. While they sought validation, you built a foundation. While they were loud, you became solid. You did the work in silence, and now your results will speak louder than any explanation. Growth costs people comfort in facing questions you'd rather avoid. It may feel like losing, like missing out. But you're not. You're shedding. You're elevating. You're stepping into a version of yourself that doesn't need applause or approval, only God's affirmation. You have peace now. You have alignment. You have purpose. None of these can be bought, they're earned in the quiet. That's what isolation gave you, and once you've grown in that solitude, you'll never return to noise the same way. You'll stop craving shallow conversations, tolerating half-hearted love, chasing what doesn't serve your spirit. You'll move with intention, speak with depth, think with clarity. Once you've tasted your strength in silence, nothing will pull you from it. You'll protect your peace, be intentional with time, selective with energy. That grounded, focused, powerful version of you changes everything. That's the one who walks in God's purpose and refuses to settle. So when life gets quiet, don't panic. Lean into it. Embrace it. Trust that God's doing something holy beneath the surface. You're not punished, you're positioned. You're not forgotten, you're formed. Let the crowd go. Let distractions fade. Let silence shape you. In stillness, your true power is born. And when you emerge from that season, you won't just survive, you'll realize isolation wasn't your breakdown, it was your breakthrough. You won't need to explain your silence or justify your distance. Real transformation doesn't need an announcement. Those meant to understand will feel it when you enter the room. They'll sense your strength, recognize you've walked through something sacred. So let them wonder. Let them whisper. Let them miss the old you. The one emerging now doesn't chase, beg, or break. This one builds, stands firm, walks with clarity and intention. Walking in God's focus and alignment. Now you're building with real focus, not just ignoring distractions, but remembering who you are in every moment, choosing not to be pulled in every direction. A scattered mind wearies the spirit, but focus rooted in God's truth lets you move with purpose, speak with conviction, walk with unshakable power. Focus isn't closing your eyes to the world, it's seeing clearly what matters most. It's sacred vision, seeing beyond noise, temporary thrills, others' expectations. When you lock in on God's purpose, when you align with what He created you for, everything shifts. Your soul rises to meet your destiny. Alignment isn't accidental, it's not a magical moment dropping from nowhere. It happens when your values, choices, and direction harmonize through God's grace. Isaiah chapter 30 verse 21 confirms, "Your ears shall hear a word behind you, saying, 'This is the way, walk in it.'" You can't be everything to everyone and stay aligned with God's plan. You can't live with a scattered mind and expect clarity. Focus requires boundaries, stillness, discipline. Alignment isn't just about what you bring into your life, it's about what you release. The wrong people, harmful patterns, misplaced priorities. They must go. In that letting go, real strength is born. The world is loud, temptation is loud, chaos tempts with noise, but God's truth whispers. If you're not focused, you'll miss His signs, His opportunities, His divine timing revealed only to the still and faithful. Focus is how you hear God in a world full of noise, how you remember your purpose when everything tries to distract you. In that clarity, alignment begins. As your focus sharpens, life clears. What felt confusing makes sense. What was blocked opens not because you forced it, but because your spirit rose to meet God's calling. You don't chase what's meant for you, it flows toward you when you're aligned. Your energy is sacred. What you focus on grows. Focus on chaos and chaos grows. Focus on problems and they expand. But focus on peace and peace deepens. Focus on God's purpose and your path clears. Focus shifts your reality. People may say you've changed, that you're distant or cold. And maybe they're right, you have changed, because once you know what's at stake, you stop playing small. You stop showing up in spaces that drain you. You stop over-explaining to those committed to misunderstanding you. Focus refines you, helping you separate what's urgent from what's eternal. When you're focused, you stop craving validation, needing applause. You know the work you're doing in private will shine in public when God's time is right. Focus teaches patience, trust, and faith that what hasn't happened yet is still coming. You keep building, believing, showing up without a crowd. Because alignment isn't about applause, it's about fulfilling God's assignment. Let others chase trends, you stay grounded in truth. Let them move for attention, you move for purpose. Let them scroll, wander, react, you stay rooted, aware, intentional. That's what separates the distracted from the disciplined, the noisy from the necessary, the confused from the called. Focus protects your peace, keeping you from giving time and energy to what doesn't serve God's destiny for you. Not everything deserves your reaction or presence. Once you live that truth, you become steady, clear, powerful. The more focused you are, the more sensitive you become to misalignment. You feel it faster, recognize it quicker, that conversation doesn't sit right, that opportunity feels off, that environment drains your spirit. You trust God's inner signal, honoring the voice saying, "This isn't for you." That's focus's power. It reconnects you to your divine compass, teaching you to follow God's wisdom over the world's noise. So don't fear the quiet. Don't resist the pull to go deeper. Don't shy away from choosing intention over attention. That focus leads you home to yourself, to God. As you focus, things fall into place not because the world changes, but because you do. Your mind clears, your heart steadies, your steps become intentional, and alignment follows. Focus becomes your shadow, quiet but constant, guiding you toward everything you've prayed for. Living God's purpose through action. Talk is easy, but action is everything. You can say the right things, share quotes, make promises, give speeches. But if your life doesn't reflect God's truth, it's empty. People may forget your words, but they'll never forget what you did. Your character is defined by what you do consistently, not what you occasionally say. Those living for God don't need to announce themselves or repeat their intentions. They show up day after day, doing the work, letting their discipline speak louder than words. If you want respect, stop convincing people with speeches. Let your work speak. Let your consistency prove your focus. Let your changed behavior confirm your growth. Let your peace show your healing. When your actions align with God's truth, validation becomes unnecessary. People feel the shift. They notice your energy. Your presence speaks not with noise, but with authenticity. In a world full of distractions, silence backed by movement is powerful. Everyone's talking online and conversations in rooms where nothing changes. But few are moving, building, sacrificing for the future they claim to want. If you're serious about becoming who God created you to be, move differently. Don't argue your worth, deliver with excellence. Don't beg for support, become undeniable. Don't over-explain your journey, walk it with purpose. Those making the most noise often have the least to offer. But those who move in quiet, who stay focused, reshape their lives for God's glory. Your actions reflect your mindset. Scattered steps mean scattered thoughts. Inconsistent behavior means inconsistent beliefs. But when you're locked in, when your intentions match your execution, people feel it. You walk into a room without a word, and your presence says, I'm disciplined. I've grown through pain. I'm here to fulfill God's purpose. That quiet power lasts. Eventually, you stop explaining and start evolving. You stop talking about the grind and live it. Your life becomes your proof. You don't need to prove anything. Your growth, healing, and transformation speak louder than words. Let others assume, talk, gossip while you're focused, building. One day they'll look up and realize you've created something powerful, not because you told them, but because you showed them through God's strength. That's real success. True healing isn't dramatic. God's purpose doesn't scream, it moves, builds, and shines when your actions speak. Action takes discipline, and discipline is rare. Anyone can plan or say they're ready to change, but only the strong follow through. Only the focused stay the course when excitement fades, when no one cheers. This isn't about performing for attention, it's about becoming who God created you to be, even when no one's watching. That's where integrity is born, where real strength grows. Every time you show up when you don't feel like it, you make a statement. Every time you say no to distraction, you declare your focus. Every time you stay true to God's values, you lead without words. That's true influence. Earning deep respect through quiet consistency. Becoming who God created you to be. You spend so much of your life chasing love, validation, success, people who weren't meant to stay. You run yourself into the ground, thinking the more you hustle, the more you prove, the closer you'll get to happiness. But chasing means it's running from you. Peace doesn't live in pursuit. It lives in God's presence. Growth doesn't come from begging, it comes from becoming. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1 affirms, to everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven. When you turn inward to God, everything shifts. You don't need to chase what's already yours in God. You only need to grow into the version ready to receive it. We're conditioned to think constant struggle proves worth, that unless we're proving ourselves, we'll be forgotten. So we exhaust our spirits to feel needed. But when you stop chasing approval, you unlock God's peace. Psalm 46 verse 10 reveals, be still and know that I am God. When you stop seeking connection, you attract his alignment. You weren't meant to convince anyone to love, notice, or believe in you. Your mission is to be so rooted in God's truth that everything meant for you arrives without resistance. Chasing comes from lack of message saying, "I'm not enough." But when you seek God's will, you enter abundance, becoming magnetic to his blessings. Forced things, relationships, careers never last. The people you begged to stay often left you broken. Chasing creates pressure, and pressure without peace collapses. But when you surrender control, you make space for God's plan. That relationship, career, opportunity comes not because you chased it, but because you became ready to receive it through God's grace. Transformation happens in becoming. It's the quiet choices, mornings you rose despite exhaustion, nights you prayed instead of scrolling, moments you chose peace over chaos. Every small victory builds someone who doesn't chase blessings but lives worthy of them. A healed soul doesn't run after what's God's. A focused mind doesn't get lost. A whole heart doesn't beg, it draws what aligns, creates what lasts. Becoming isn't for show. It's preparing for God's call. You don't need to announce transformation, your energy speaks. You don't need to convince others you've changed, your presence reveals it. When you choose yourself in God's truth, boundaries strengthen. Time becomes sacred, focus sharpens. Noise fades, clarity rises. Everything once out of reach moves toward you, as God promised in Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11, which states, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." The world may say you're behind, not enough without titles or applause. Don't let it rush you. I chase what doesn't nourish your soul. You're not behind, you're becoming. You're not lost, you're refined. When you choose growth over performance, God's timing makes sense. Delays are preparation, not punishment. What's meant for you won't pass you by. When aligned with God's purpose, it finds you. Shift your focus to becoming in God's truth. Be disciplined, grounded, faithful, whole. Watch everything respond to the intentional you. People feel the change. Opportunities notice the shift. You'll feel it within, walking with confidence, not from the world's approval, but from God's grace. There's freedom in stopping the chase, knowing your responsibility is to rise, evolve, and stay rooted in truth. Love, peace, purpose meet you not when you beg, but when you're ready to hold them through consistency, quiet work, and unwavering worth. Stepping into God's light. Here you are, family, standing at the edge of a new beginning. After the silence, the healing, the breaking and rebuilding, you've walked through a quiet revolution. This isn't about performing for the world, it's about protecting the peace God's poured into you, about becoming who He always meant you to be before the noise got loud. You were never meant to chase what's already yours in Him. You were meant to rise, to shine, to walk boldly in His purpose. What's your next step, family? What's God calling you to do right now? God's voice is clear. You're not here to convince anyone of your value. You're here to live it, to breathe it, to embody it. There comes a time when the loudest thing you can do is say nothing. When your silence becomes your strength, your boundary, your sacred space. Peace isn't something you find, it's what you choose and how you respond, what you release, who you allow in your life. Not everyone's meant to walk beside you. Not everyone can handle the fullness of your healing, your growth, your mission, and that's okay. The ones God's chosen for you won't flinch at your boundaries. They'll be drawn to your strength, your light, your faith. So family, let's move forward together. Grab a notebook and write down one dream God's placed in your heart, one step you'll take today to guard your peace. Maybe it's praying for clarity, letting go of a toxic tie, or starting that project He's been nudging you toward. Share this message with someone who needs it, text it, post it, speak it into their life. Drop "I'm ready" in the comments below, and let's build a community chasing God's glory. Tell me, what's stirred in your soul today? What's one thing you're committing to for His kingdom? Don't let this moment fade. You've been through the fire, but you're coming out gold, refined by God's love. Keep showing up, even when it's hard. Keep growing, even when it hurts. Keep choosing yourself, your peace, your purpose over and over. Because when you do, everything changes, not when you meet the world's standards, but when you rise into God's. The peace, the clarity, the alignment, it all follows when you step boldly into His light. Joshua chapter 24 verse 15 declares, "Choose this day whom you will serve. Choose God. Choose peace. Choose now." Let's make history for His kingdom. Family, go shine and don't look back.